Blessed and happy Sunday to all of you, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, my dear good people of God, faithful followers of the Daily Gospel Reflection with Father Jack, my dear kababayans. Today is June 11, 2023, and today the Church celebrates the solemnity of the most holy body and blood of Christ, otherwise known as Corpus Christi. Our Gospel for today is from the beautiful and the wonderful account of the Gospel of John, chapter 6, verses 51 to 59. In today's Gospel, Jesus came as the bread of life. And he said, and I quote, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever, and the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh." End of the quote. Eating this bread, consuming this bread, and receiving this bread is our very life. Document of the Vatican II defines Eucharist as the highest form of Christian worship. This bread from heaven is like manna in the wilderness that fills the desert. This bread that Jesus is offering is eternal and satisfying. This bread is from above, not from below. Therefore, earthly bread cannot satisfy our longings and our desires. But dear friends, do not waste your time and energy searching for this earthly bread, like money, like affirmation, like attentions, like pleasures, alcohol, so on and so forth. For that bread here below cannot satisfy the desire of our soul. My dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, only Jesus can satisfy the longing of our hearts. Three things that I would like to share with you this Sunday. In our first reading, like the Israelites, in the journey of the Israelites, in their journey in the desert, they felt hungry. There was a crisis of food. And God saw their longing for food. That's why God provides their needs. God is very generous. However, some of them turns ungrateful and starts to complain. And worse, some of them abandon the Lord. They forget the Lord. You know, this is a good reminder, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters. When God provides you with what you need, do not forget the Lord. Because we always have the tendency to forget Him. Do not let the abundance of God's gift causes you to forget Him. When God gives you good health, remember Him. When God blesses you financially, when God gives you good life, remember the Lord. The problem nowadays is this. When there is an enormous supply, we focus more on the supply rather than the supplier. And that's what the Israelites did in our first reading for today. God provides them with food, but some of them, they forget and they abandon the Lord. And the challenge for us this Sunday is, first, never forget the Lord. Second, God allows the experience of affliction to test our fidelity, to test our faithfulness. Because affliction is to humble us. This is to test us and to do us good. I remember even in one of the writings of Saint Paul, if I'm not mistaken, he said, persecutions, problems are necessary for us to enter the kingdom of God. When you have problems, it is always for our good. That's why when things get rough, when life gets rough, God sent it to make our life smooth. God gives us problems to strengthen us, not to destroy us. When you're flooded with overwhelming difficulties, when you are flooded with financial crisis, emotional challenges, broken relationships, do not cling to the other thing, but rather seek the bread of life. When you have problems, receive Jesus in the Eucharist. And finally, the Eucharist is a celebration of partaking and sharing in the cup of Jesus. Because Eucharist is sharing. Jesus gave himself in a form of bread to feed our hungry souls. Today is Sunday of compassion. Today is a sharing Sunday. Like Jesus, let us be bread broken for others. Because the Eucharist is a moment from slavery to freedom. It's just like a journey of the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land. Let me end my reflection by quoting Pope Francis, and this is what he said. You pray for the hungry and then feed them. That's how prayer works. And Pope Francis said, the Eucharist is not the prize for the perfect, but a powerful medicine and nourishment for the weak. Happy Sunday, mother friends, mother brothers and sisters, and do not forget the Lord. Amen.